I will not. And I was hoping that could be the cold open, but it will not be the cold open.
I hate to break the fishing news up, Yaremchuk, but I'd like to speak about the ice hockey.
Congratulations, you're one of the 13 listeners of the Real Life Podcast.
We just traded a migraine in for like an orgasm.
Might want to mark that down, Yaremchuk.
Yep. All of my projects are on schedule until they're not.
A member of the Nation Network of Podcasts.
About as funny as we're going to get today.
I saw that, Chalmers. Episode 253 of the Real Life Podcast. Hello, I'm Tyler Yaremchuk, and as you can tell, Chalmers is here in his truck. So is Bag Milk Jay and Wanye. It's episode 253, brought to you by Oodle Noodle, 14 locations in Edmonton. And how good does this sound? It's a cold Sunday afternoon in Edmonton. You're sitting curled up on your couch. You don't want to order or cook any food for the Super Bowl, so you order yourself a little bit of Oodle Noodle. Oodle Noodle and the Super Bowl. That is a combination I can get behind.
Now, are we allowed to just openly say Super Bowl? Like, it ain't no thing? Like, it isn't
the big game. It's the big game.
The big game. The big match.
I think you have more wiggle room in a live ad read.
Also, no one listens to this.
I would like the record state that was Tyler Yaremchuk's opinion stated.
Yeah.
That is not the stance of the Nation Network or any of its subsidiaries.
I was not paid to say Super Bowl. I said it on my own. There was nothing in the ad copy.
That was a statement on behalf of TSN 1260 made by Tyler Yaremchuk. Yeah. That is their belief and stance and view on this subject.
And if Roger Goodell is one of our 13 listeners, you are going to love later on, Roger, when we get to the Super Bowl time.
Yes, absolutely.
All of Tyler's opinions are strongly associated to those at TSN 1260.
They originate from
that of Bell Media and TSN 1260.
Yes, of Alexander Graham Bell, in fact.
Have you seen the Wayne's World promo now for Uber Eats, where they make it a very big point to not say the word Super Bowl? Because they're
Mike Myers in it?
Mike Myers out, yeah, and Dana Carvey.
Oh my God, they have too much money.
Wow, those two got back together, eh?
And Cardi B.
They were feuding. Those two were feuding as recently as 2 years ago. Yeah.
For real?
Dana Carvey's got beef with Mike Myers for a few different things, including he was originally supposed to be Dr. Evil in Austin Powers.
What?
And Mike Myers just decided to do it himself and took the impression.
That was a Dana Carvey impression?
Yeah, they were both doing it based on the guy from, what's his name? I can't think of it right now.
You know what, Dana Carvey? Fuck you, and I'll tell you why.
That's my two literal sports, like non-sports heroes. Those two.
Listen, the guy that everybody does at Saturday Night Live that speaks.
Lorne Michaels.
When he did the damn movie Master of Disguise, and like he had a deal with Subway. They were giving you prizes. Master of Disguise. I was all in. And I went to that movie. I have never been more disappointed by a major motion picture in my entire life. That includes Phantom Menace. That was supposed to be the new Wayne's World, the new Austin Powers. It was supposed to be Master of Disguise. And it was
Mike Myers
terrible.
Is like one of my favorite people in the world. And he's had a couple real stinkers, like The Love Guru. That was a bad movie.
Oh, what is it, you cunt face? What are you talking about?
No matter how big of a comedian you are, you could be Will Ferrell, you could be Mike Myers, you could be master of your craft. You always do one picture too many, and then your era is over.
I mean, just look at Sandler. He just knocks them out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's got a deal with the devil or some shit.
He's
he
got
looks
that
miserable.
Sweet Netflix deal, you know? I would also make shitty movies for that much money.
Wouldn't you, though?
Yeah.
And doesn't Sandler just like bring his boys around with him too? Like he's just making sure
everyone
everyone
they're
eats.
in every movie.
Yeah,
it's just an excuse to go to a far-off, heated climate like Hawaii. And
every movie's in Hawaii. Have you noticed this now? Yeah. Every movie's set
Bora, Hawaii.
Yeah.
Well, can't blame him.
You know who did it right was Eddie Murphy. He was just like beyond popular and rich, and then was like in the scene but never made anything. So he was like hanging out with the big-time celebrities and pals with Dave Chappelle and all these guys, but never like tarnished his legacy. Just didn't do anything. And then he did that Dolomite movie, which was awesome.
I got a handful of things to get to. While we're on the topic of films, I finally
That's
wrapped
awkward.
up.
Your M-Chuck? That's awkward. I feel as though you're...
That's the best part. You gotta let it go. That's the best part is when he's super awkward with the transition.
Is it though? Like I only have time for so many podcasts, you know, and this represents 100% of them.
I finally got around to finishing up the Tiger Woods documentary. Boy, they make his dad look like a real asshole.
Oh yeah.
That
and
was
you see how Tiger's at the end of it? Like he says, "I'm very grateful for the life I've had." He
yeah.
knew about that documentary. He knew everything that went in it.
So I think the point of it kind of was to do anything to paint Tiger in a very sympathetic light. And I felt like that was the intention of it. Like everything just seemed like it was geared towards, this is why Tiger did it and it maybe wasn't even his fault kind of thing. Like he was raised to be this,
When they showed that assistant pro talking about how him and Earl used to be like wildcats and shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Sorry, champ." I was like, "Oh, they just gave him a green light for the second half of this documentary. It's not Tiger's fault. It's that guy's fault."
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I felt like it was. And I liked it. I thought it was entertaining. It was cool, especially because I was too young to like really know what was going on with Tiger Woods. I just thought it was cool to watch his rise up again and get like an in-depth look at it kind of. But the point of it was definitely to paint him sympathetically. And that was kind of my biggest takeaway.
But it worked because like when I finished the documentary, I mean, I didn't know what to think about him and his life to begin with. But when you see stuff like his parents breaking up with his girlfriend through a letter because it's gonna ruin their plan, like you see how much control they had over him. And when he started to kind of take that control back, it was pretty evident that he was not afforded the tools to deal with real life that from a young age that he was given. And if the whole idea was to show that this stuff is not his fault and that he's reacting in a way with his life that was kind of ingrained in him by what he saw around him, they did an amazing job at that. Because I personally came away thinking, yeah, I probably would have been the same way if I had that kind of an upbringing, that kind of a father, if I saw that kind of shit. And it showed that he was like mentally enabled to like. They said all the times that he could compartmentalize better than everybody, but there was that one portion in his life, and that's the mental side of relationships. He never learned, and he couldn't ever figure that out.
Well, it seems like his parents' priorities, it seemed like in raising him, were golf. And then number 2 on that list was like 50 feet down. And number 2 on that was like how to present yourself. And then like another 50 feet down was like basic social skills. And I feel like that side of his brain almost like wasn't given a chance to develop because he was force-fed.
Sorry, Bagwell, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I would also think that no matter how you're raised, if you reach the level of fame as Tiger Woods got to, you're going to be fucked up in one way or another anyway.
Totally. I don't think he's lacking basic social skills. I mean, for fuck's sake, he went to Stanford, right? He's got
and he plays a mean air clarinet / saxophone.
Wasn't that cute, young Tiger? Oh, he looks so happy and carefree. I bet you that's the best time of his life. I bet you.
Yep.
Yeah, see, but that was him when he had it, but it was killed in him. Like, and I'm not talking about social skills.
Yeah, maybe I used the wrong word there. Maybe what I should have said was like how to deal with your emotions, like things like that. Like I think he was taught to bottle it in.
When you're that famous, tell me somebody who's been that famous who's gotten through it okay, other than Tom Hanks, right? Like, if you're walking down the fairway and there's a sea of people, like when I play golf, Chalmers, if somebody clicks a pen, I lose my shit. If there's 100 people deep everywhere you go, roaring everywhere, it's not about social skills. Like the amount of pressure on you is without parallel.
I agree with that part, but there's the part that really struck me was when he's on tour and he's a young guy and there's a lot of older players, like I think his name was Paul Loria, and his niece or daughter or whatever was became close with Tiger because she was probably at every event and she was probably hanging out with Tiger, and they showed that they became really, really good friends.
I remember when the narrative when Tiger first joined the NHL or the PGA, it was that his best friend was Marco Mira. You remember that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's like, oh my God, Marco Mira. What does a 22-year-old Tiger have in common with Marco Mira?
At the very end of the documentary, she talks about how she reached out to him and all these times, and he just cut her out. And that's the type of like relationship and how to deal with that shit that he wasn't taught. You know what I mean? He never had, because in his mind, his parents breaking up with a girlfriend of his and never talking to her again was just, pardon the pun, but par for the course.
That's I need somebody to break up with all ladies for me. Tyler, I am hiring you for that job.
I think when you're that good at something, you know, and everyone around you knows that that's what you're good for, quote unquote, right? And I think that you're given an indefinite hall pass if you're winning, right? And it isn't until shit starts to come crashing down around you. And that's, you know, if you're Tiger Woods, like imagine, yeah, you won the Masters, deal, crazy shit. Imagine like 2 years later, you couldn't get out of bed for like 8 months. They didn't really get into like the dark period when he was living down in Florida, but like weeks would go by. He was worried about getting bed sores and shit. It's insane they brought him back and made him golf again.
I absolutely love the part where he's in Vegas, fresh-faced, the world is his oyster, and then within like 5 years, he looks just like a beaten man.
Oh,
and
fuck, he's hanging out with Charles Barkley.
Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley is what brought the ship down.
Vegas is like a drug at this point where he doesn't want to be there, but you can tell he has to, and he's like, he just needs that lifestyle. That was sad. And yeah, they didn't really touch in on a lot of the injury stuff and the dark places that he probably went with his injuries, but like, I mean, there was a lot to you never can really understand why a guy would fall from grace like that. But then to see his dad get sick and pass away, and then him all of a sudden become like, I'm gonna make it up to my dad in a way by going and like living the military life.
And they didn't get down to the bottom there either. Like the shit he did to try, he basically joined the Navy SEALs without joining the Navy SEALs, and he had like, remember he had the really bad knees and he was like limping and shit down the fairway. Yeah. He was doing runs with like 20-pound weights or some crazy shit strapped to his legs. And they were like, dude, you have to fucking stop. And he's like, Percocets and shit all crazy and was like, never. And then
the machine should have stopped him because like that is not the regiment of a golfer.
Well, he didn't want to be a golfer anymore. He wanted to be Earl Woods.
There's a perfect tie-in. You say the machine should have stopped him, but he didn't forge the relationships in his personal life to have a machine around him that could stop him. He's best friends with Stevie. He's his caddy. He's in all the best times of his life. They're at each other's weddings. All of a sudden, he takes a job when he's injured, and he never talks to him again. That's fucked up.
That's not obviously what happened. That's what Steve Williams told in documentary happened.
Why would Steve Williams lie about it?
Yeah, why would?
Because he either A, doesn't understand what really happened, right? Like, I have a hard time believing that was anything other than the final straw.
Well, but Tiger is renowned for just cutting people out of his life.
People are crazy like that, though, man. If you go look at high-achieving people, like, that's a common occurring theme around people like that. Because if you're like, what's an example? If you're like a rapper and you have like a crew of rappers you're trying to bring along with you, at some point, if they're not good, you're either going to turn into them or they're going to turn into... Well, D12 was good, but like you're either going to turn into the St. Lunatics if you're Nelly, right?
No, but Steve was good. Steve was the yin to Tiger's yang.
Does it really matter, though?
It's like when Bieber cut out Lil Zaw, you know?
Well, that's probably the right play. Poor Bieber didn't have a fucking friend to his name. But I think that like Oprah, I remember reading Oprah's book, and they were interviewing some lady who you worked for when she was in Chicago and getting her show off the ground. And she was like, and then I never heard from Oprah again. And it's like, well, what are you doing? Well, I have the same job. Like at some point, people like that are that good at something, they cut ties with people that they think are energy vampires, right? Yeah, but we don't know what Steve Williams is like. Remember Fluff Cowan? Remember his first caddy? Remember that guy with the big mustache?
Yeah.
What was his name?
Fluff Cowan. Fluff Cowan. Yeah. He started doing interviews and press and tried to write a book and shit. And Tiger was like, you have to stop, right? You have to stop, like, making money off of knowing me and being around me. And Fluff Cowan was like, no. And then he fired him. So who the hell knows behind closed doors? I cannot see a guy like Tiger Woods cutting out his fucking right arm over something that small.
Well, I agree. What I liked about the documentary was I got to relive. I was, this was the heyday of our golfing. Watching watching it unfold. And it did take me back, but it also made me realize that I didn't pay enough attention when I was a kid, and that I didn't fully understand what was happening. And to see, just like when he wins the U.S. Open on one leg, like that's amazing. That made me feel so like glad that I got to see it, but kind of pissed off at myself for not paying enough attention to it. And it's why I'm going to hearken to my kids, like, pay attention to like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. They're easily the two best players right now in the NHL. And you got to pay attention because this is like once in a lifetime shit for you to have these guys on your team and, really absorb it.
While if we're going to transition topics, like I sent out a tweet last week when McDavid scored that goal against Toronto. I said, man, Oilers fans are lucky. And a bunch of people responded and were like, oh, are they really lucky? Like, look at the last 10 years. But like, nah, fuck that. The last 10 years are worth it because you get to watch not one, but like two future Hall of Famers play on the same team at the same time. Like, you get to watch Connor McDavid do shit that no one's ever done live every night. And that's unreal. Oilers fans are so lucky for that.
So, Chalmers, I got a question for you then. Along those lines, what you said to your kids about McDavid and Draisaitl, are you feeling the same way a little bit as you did about Tiger when it comes to guys like Sid and Ovi? Because they're on the tail end.
Well, and I am, and even earlier than that, with just like, being 8 years old and having Gretzky and Messier on the same team. I did kind of absorb hockey a little bit different when I was that age because I was really into watching hockey. I wasn't so much into watching golf. I was into playing it. But yes, I did pay a little more attention to Ovi and Sid Crosby and like even guys like Pavel Datsyuk. And so I know what it looks like to be into that. And so I can appreciate that a little bit more. But like when it comes to the Oilers, I kind of try to break down. I kind of try to work my takes out with them when we're watching the game. I say to them like, we're 4-6 right now, and things are looking like shit, and we really need to turn a corner. And then we have 2 games against Ottawa. Now take that with a grain of salt. But it really looked like they started to put some shit together. They started to flow. It started to look like chemistry was building. And right now at 6-6. This is the most optimistic I've been about this team this season.
2 questions for you, Chalmers. Do you swear around your kids right now? No way, right?
I do not.
Okay. At what age do you think it becomes like socially acceptable to swear in front of your kids?
So we've talked about this because I like to listen to music and I don't like to listen to I don't like to there's swears in music. Let's just be honest, right? And so I say to them, I'm like, if you guys are aware of the right words, and that they can't be the wrong words, and when they can be used and when they cannot, and that you just cannot use them. Sometimes I slip up around them, and I have to say, like, look, I'm sorry, I slipped up there, not a big deal, but you know what? I'm pretty open with them about that kind of stuff, and we listen to music with swears in it, and they go, oh, there was a bad word, and I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. So I don't know. I don't know.
Ask me, your MCheck. Ask me.
Wanye,
yeah, what do you do when Wanye Jr.?
Yeah.
Fucking, we're swearing from day one in this bitch, and I already have playlists that make him listen to with swear words in it. You know what? And we're about that life, so I don't care. If you want me to play him Project Pat without swears, I don't even know how the hell I'm supposed to pull that off.
So my dad still to this day just hates swearing. Like when it's a social setting, like if we're out on the golf course or whatever, like he'll swear, but like in the home, if we're there, even though me and all my siblings are grown adults, if you drop an F-bomb, he's mad. Like he just does not like it for some reason, which is totally fine, totally acceptable. But I'll never. He just thinks like the way he was raised, it's disrespectful to swear around your parents. He thinks there should be, like you're a family, you do things like, wholesome, I guess, like just don't swear. But I remember the moment where the floodgates opened with swearing with my mom. She was hot glue gunning like a little door decoration, and she hot glue gunned her finger, and she was like, son of a bitch. And me and my sister both just like looked at each other, and we were like 12 to 14. We're like, oh yeah, it's on. And from that point forward, it was just free reign with my mom, but not with my dad.
You fucked up, Mom.
It's funny because my parents never used to swear around me. And so when my dad would swear, I knew shit was serious, And so like that's kind of what I'm like. I don't want to swear in front of my kids. I'm just gonna keep it in the bank for when they really do something dumb.
That's smart.
And then I pull one out, and then they know, shit's real.
I always find these conversations interesting because in my house growing up, language like that was never a big thing, provided that the context was correct. You couldn't just be like fuck was the ultimate don't say that one in the house unless like the world is melting, but like everything else in proper context just kind of flew. So I always find it interesting how.
Oh no, not in my house, man. I got too much going on. Bitcoin, all sorts of shit. I can't be worried about swear words.
Exactly.
Whatever. Wanye Jr., you want to say fuck for no reason? Good for you. If you turn into a serial killer, we're gonna have to talk. But I don't care about swearing. That's fine. Good.
I know that there is a section of the listeners that enjoy when I talk about my dad. So something I learned about him this week. My sister texted me.
I being one of them.
Yeah. My sister texts me and goes, So she tells me the story about how she's just chatting with my dad on the phone, and he goes, "Hey, I keep seeing this ad for this thing on TikTok." And like my dad he thinks everything is Facebook. Like that's his knowledge of social media. But somehow he's been introduced to TikTok recently. And he's like, he told my sister was like, "What do you mean like on TikTok? Like you were using TikTok?" And he goes, "Yep, I like to go on it during my lunch breaks." And it's like the most mind-blowing thing for me and my sister because again, like my dad, it took him like a solid week and a half to learn what his Apple Watch was when we got him one. And like now he's on TikTok. It's been a wild time. He says he likes it because there's lots of DIY tips, and that's the TikTok
he likes to watch babes dance. I guarantee it.
Well, no, probably not.
Yeah.
That's not really my dad.
Yeah.
Well, who knows? But anyways, my dad's on TikTok, and I think that's hilarious. I laughed hard at that.
He totally likes to watch babes dance.
Let's follow him.
I think he's using it without an account. Because I tried to search for him and I can't find him. So
did you look up my dad as his name?
His name's just Dad.
Dad, Yaremchuk Dad. Yeah.
The way I look at TikTok is if it's a good TikTok, somebody will post it to Instagram. I don't need to go to TikTok for it.
Two things I can't do. Two things I cannot do in 2021. 1, wager on sports. 2, download TikTok. It cannot occur.
My favorite guy on TikTok right now, Chalmers, I should send them to you. It's a guy who spoofs the fact that like old NBA players like to talk about how the current NBA is soft. And he's created this like character named Don Shampoo who like recall stories of Don Shampoo when he's driving to the hoop getting like shot in the head. And you know, it was the old days. So there was no foul called, but with the bullet in his head, he made 2 free throws. And it's shit like that. It's the funniest thing, man. I cry laughing at it.
Send those to me. I love those things.
Yeah, I'll forward those off to you. All right. Go ahead.
He was when you were talking about not betting. I love that our real life chat has turned into basically betting. So like what we're doing betting, how we're doing betting. And I was listening to something today, and we've all had bad beats, but I couldn't help but bring this one up. There was an over-under on a basketball team to score 66.5 points. And with 9 minutes left, they had 63 points. 9 minutes left in the game. They scored a 3-pointer at 7 minutes and 50 seconds to make it 66, and they didn't score again that game, and it was the under. And they show like the clips of it, and they had probably 10 missed free throws, a bunch of missed like foul.
The fix is in.
Man, doesn't that sound like the fix is in?
That is a shave job and a half. Mach 3. Let's go.
Mach 3.
There is basketball produces the worst bad beats in all of betting on sports, I think. Like the amount of times you'll see in a college game where the spread's 11 and a team is, down by 8 and they're just dribbling out the ball at the end of the clock. Or sorry, they're up by 8. They're dribbling out the ball at the end of the clock and then they'll just like for fun lob up a 3 and make it and ruin the spread. It's like, oh my fucking, I can't do that. I'm also brutal at betting on basketball.
I'm sure a lot of people got robbed on the Gaetan Haas goal.
Me, I did. I had the over. Fuck.
And it was a 2.5 point spread too.
Yeah.
Well,
that Ottawa series was very kind to me. Very, very kind.
It was to me too.
Yeah, I mean,
all I think, Chalmers, when I hear all this talk about sports betting, is you guys are wasting a lot of pornography time.
It's true.
There's a lot of other things you could be doing with your time than figuring out who's going to win. University of Kentucky slow pitch.
Now I don't have to search for the perfect video for 45 minutes and then finally do the 45
Why, the algorithm got better or you gave up?
now I just look at betting lines and I know exactly where I'm going.
I had such a good NFL season betting-wise that I took out a sizable withdrawal from my account, and that feels good when that hits the bank account. It was nice.
You even sent me a screenshot, you degenerate.
Yeah, I did. I was bragging about it a little bit that day because I hadn't been winning a lot, but I'm now like on the betting site I use, there's like stats that tell you your career, like withdrawals and all of that, and I am now up money on my betting career, which I'm very, very proud of.
I'm going to tell you a story right now. It's going to lead to an analogy. It's going to put a bookmark in a conversation for a later day between us. One time I was in Moose Jaw at a casino, and I was very drunk, and I lost a lot of money gambling. And I was walking by this little room they have in the casino in Moose Jaw, and I look over, and it's the responsible gaming room. Jay, you know this room.
Oh, yeah.
And they literally have a person who sits there and, will counsel you if you have a gambling problem. and I was very drunk, and I think I looked too long at the room, and the guy came out was like, "Would you like to come in and talk about responsible gambling?" And I was horrified, and I went and got more money and lost it.
Wow.
If I think that I have to have a conversation with you about your sports betting, I'm going to take you to the proverbial little room in the Moose Jaw Casino, and we're going to talk about your responsible gambling.
Well,
Don't get too hooked on crack. We are in the crack business.
Buddy, this weekend is going to be a crack-filled weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Gamble responsibly, though.
I am fired up right now. This weekend is turning. It's my favorite weekend of the year because we're even blessed with an Oilers game too on Saturday against the Flames. Coming off some big wins over in Ottawa or against Ottawa, and we got the Super Bowl. We got my favorite golf tournament of the year, the Waste Management Open.
Mm-hmm.
I am flying, boys. Now, Chalmers, are you in this? How can I put this? Do you go to the raves for the Molly or for the music? Are you excited about all the sports this weekend for the gambling or the sports? Like, what are you pumped about here?
Both.
It's the Molly.
One feeds the other.
Some people like the music of Tomorrowland. I myself watch it on YouTube. Other people want to go to Coachella to do drugs.
So the question is, do you want to go to hear the music or do you want to go and see the music?
Yeah,
I'll answer that with an actual situation. Week 13 of the NFL football, week 14 of the NFL football season, I was out of fantasy and I didn't get my bets in time. I didn't watch a single play from the morning game. I did not care. I swear. So
Chalmers loves his cover charge to the bar.
I love my cover charge, and I just want the action.
Fair enough. You're addicted to adrenaline.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's all right.
We got Scott Hastings coming up in like 15 minutes, so I'm going to table the Super Bowl talk for now because we have a lot of it coming up with him. A couple different places we could go here. I have a rant I want to do based on something I've been arguing about on Twitter. We could do that, or we could do a listener profile, or we could try to jam both.
Listener profile.
Okay, let's go listener profile.
Oh.
Okay,
Good
listener profile. Brought to you by Oodle Noodle. We head over to our Twitter DMs, and today it is Steven Fiddler. Is his name?
I know that guy.
I know him.
Yep.
We are Twitter buddies.
Environmental Consulting and Engineering Company is who he works for.
Interesting.
Fun fact about him, then this actually ties into what we were just talking about a little bit. He's a big live music fan. He's been to over 200 concerts in his life.
For the Molly or for the music, Fiddler?
100% for the music. He's a day one listener, part of the original 13. His favorite real-life moments, he said it was the Ladislav Schmid 2-part interview. He said it was fantastic. His stories were great.
Fantastic.
He adds also Chalmers wasn't there, and he couldn't sidetrack the interview.
Oh.
I was there for one of them.
Yeah, Chalmers was there for, you were there for Schmid.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, you totally did sidetrack that because you were talking to him about like a tournament in the Czech Republic.
Yeah, you're talking about a minor league tournament.
That you went to.
All right.
That was probably, Chalmers, one of the best 5 questions. That wasn't even a question that I've ever seen in an interview. You started with a thought about him and then talked about you, and then he interrupted you to be like, "You want to talk about me?" And you were like, "Why?"
That's what I bring to these, a very self-centered attitude.
Consistent. His favorite Oilers memories, he says the entire 06 Cup run. He was in university at the time. Parties on White Ave were amazing. Also, 2 years ago, he won a Ryan Nugent-Hopkins jersey as part of the Shirts Off Our Back promotion that the Oilers were doing, and he got to meet Ryan after the game to go get it.
Nice.
That's a great memory. His Oodle Noodle order is pad thai with double meat with wontons as a side. And the most exotic place he's listened to the podcast is in Dublin because he went there to see a U2 concert.
Oh, cool.
Extra bonus, he says he's at a soft 3 when he's listening to the pod. And that was a direct quote.
I would actually like to make a brief aside here to the 13 listeners of Real Life. You guys are crazy on Twitter, hitting up Oilers Nation with numbers after goals.
I love it.
That's turning out to be a thing, man. Like, I'll just be sitting there yelling at someone, and I'll be getting like 8, 9, 7, 6, and that's all they're saying.
One year during the Beatcast, like the post game that I do on Instagram, I started off by saying, "Real life listeners, what's your number?" And it was one of my favorite things just to see them start flooding in. I love it. It's great. Another thing I want to mention, please, please, please keep memeing this podcast. I love the memes that are coming out of this, whether it's Surveyor Brett or anybody else that's getting involved. I love it.
Yeah, keep the memes coming so we can post them along. Before I get
Back to Fiddler.
Well, back to Fiddler. Do we have anything more on Fiddler? That was his whole
Bravo.
listener
Thank
profile.
you for listening to us.
Yeah.
Thank you for talking to us on social.
Thanks for not missing an episode.
A responsible 3 too. You're allowed out in public with that number.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're safe.
Before I
As
like
a
the
fellow
point, Tyler.
U2 fan, I feel like we're looked down upon by other music fans. And frankly, they can go fuck themselves. With or without you is an all-time anthem.
I would agree.
Great.
Do you think
I feel like
are they in
U2
the
is
are they in the Nickelback portion where it just became like
I
cool
was
to hate on them?
I was going to say that it got to
Really?
Nickelbacky in some sectors of people. If you talk to people who consider themselves like hardcore rock fans, there are a subset of people who laugh at U2 and they can go fuck themselves.
No, but they're probably laughing at like current U2, like Act Chunk Baby and freaking what was it, Lemon Party Tour or whatever they did.
Ah, yes,
Like-
Lemon Party Tour.
Like that was that was good shit. Now when they force their only mistake in their body of work is when they force their album upon you.
I didn't get that album. This is what I'm going to put on my gravestone. I didn't get the free U2 album. It never came to my phone.
Yeah,
Better man for it.
Maybe it was good. It was kind of off-putting, but like, would I go to Dublin to see U2 play
Fuck
like
yeah. Always.
classic U2?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Always.
That's like going to Hannah to watch a Nickelback concert.
That's right.
The Nickelback thing made me think of this, but a while ago on Twitter, I got like a DM request from a Twitter account. I'm trying to see if I can find them or if they've been like deleted now, but it was from a page that was just called The Avril Lavigne Truth. And they were like, would you like to learn more? Like follow this link. And I
Well,
did not.
she's a double now, Tyler.
Yeah, that's
That's
rumor,
not the
right?
original Avril Lavigne.
I would like to learn more about Avril Lavigne. She's Canada's princess.
Mm-hmm. Ajax, Ontario's own.
Okay, I'm going to get to my rant now. Actually, no, before I do that, I'm going to give some love to Twig and Berries, our friends. Promo code NATION15 gets you 15% off at twigandberries.ca. No judgment, no shaming, no fancy words, just real men. If you're thinking of hitting up an outdoor rink, although it's too cold to do that right now in Edmonton, they have a sweet ODR gear, or an ODR line, some sweet gear in that. They're doing face masks right now, which is really cool as well, some hockey-themed face masks. So check it out, twigandberries.ca. Don't forget about that promo code we're always plugging as well. And okay, here's my rant. Because I keep...
Shout out, just one second. Shout out to Twig and Berries. My brother-in-law placed a sizable order, and it's all he wears now. He loves
wow.
them. That's a testimonial.
Oh,
He will
respect
never...
Gary. He's a supporter. He's a soldier.
Yeah, big time. He loves them. So anybody that needed a podcast testimonial, there's one.
I would also
speaking
add
about-
that your
Go ahead, Maggie,
nutsack.
but I got some that.
I would also add your nutsack undies accentuate your real life number very, very well. So keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm,
Yes,
mm-hmm.
yeah, absolutely. Very well played. Your Remchuk, you will notice there is a certain someone recently has submitted a listener profile request.
Yeah.
And I would like for you maybe next episode to feature her.
You want her to jump the queue?
Is it Avril Lavigne?
For funny reasons, yeah.
Celine Dion,
Yeah,
actually.
sure. I will. I'll send her one. I know who you're talking about. I think on the old DM. So usually there's
Now
a
it's-
list, but okay.
And one final thought on Twig and Berries. Because they're such a good sponsor of the show, I'm going to give them some business gold here. When this pandemic is over, you take those masks that you've been making and you sell them as European man hammocks.
Yep.
You tell people that they're underwear and they
Yep.
got to put their Twig and Berries in the face mask part, and at the back, there's no drawers.
Chapless.
Millions.
One leg through each ear hole, my friends.
Yeah. And they say, really? Is this what? Hey,
Yeah.
this is what they're.
Gotta pivot.
there's been- yeah, remember the Borat underwear? That kicked off a movement.
Everybody look at your M-Chug right now.
Is your rant perhaps about this?
Yeah. Have we
No.
beat you to your rant?
Actually, this has been a really good episode. We've been talking over each other a little bit, but everyone's
But the
mics are
sound is
sounding
better.
good. Yeah, the sound's good, which is all I really care about.
Except for JR, but that's par for the course again.
No, I think Jay's audio's been fine today.
Thank you.
All right. Here's my rant, because I keep seeing basically this really sent me over the edge when some fucking Coach Bombay account on Twitter decided to send out a tweet that said, at the NHL, hockey is for everyone. Fine print. Not actually everyone. You have to buy the $200 NHL package, be subscribed to TSN and Sportsnet, And mostly like every other sports station in your area, blackouts still possible in the spirit of growing the game. Sorry, not sorry. People who are bitching about the TV rights, like, I understand that it sucks to have to pay for, packages if you want to watch games.
You don't have to pay, you bitch boy. Not you, the guy on Twitter. If you have the brains to tweet, you have the brains to Google Oilers free streams and enjoy your viruses and free hockey.
Well, okay, just like everything in life here's my rant. Just like everything, you need to pay for premium services. If you want the bare minimum of hockey coverage, then buy a cable package and subscribe to Sportsnet, and you will get all the games that are available in your area, along with, they'll even throw in some national games, which is great. If you want to watch all the games in the NHL that are out of your market, then you need to buy Game Center Live, which is a step up. Now, if you want also the games in your area and all the other games, you can buy Center Ice, or you can buy a cable package and Game Center Live. You have to pay for a premium.
Or go to reddit.com/r/Oilers streams and go about 3 or 4 links down, like anyone with a working brain, and steal it if you're so inclined.
Well, exactly. Like, there is a legal but free way to do it, which is one option. Or don't bitch that the NHL...
Bitch. It's a business.
Yeah, it drives me nuts because it's like, what do you want? Like, TV networks and radio stations just be giving away this shit for free? I know radio stations kind of do, but like, do you want Sportsnet to just be like, you know what, guys, we're good on the whole making money thing. As long as this Gordon Bombay account stops tweeting us, that's good enough for us. Like, holy shit, there's a reason this stuff happens. It's not like they're just like withholding hockey to make people miserable.
How does Emilio Estevez not understand how this works? He's in the industry.
Unbelievable, really.
How can he be tweeting about free? Yeah.
I just don't get it, man. And I tried to someone. Sorry.
If you want to listen to free mediocre hockey coverage, download and subscribe to this podcast, Tyler.
Well, yeah, there's that. And I had a really good exchange with a guy on Twitter.
The first time we've mentioned hockey an hour into this is that you're mad at someone on Twitter. It's a real hockey podcast. It's a real barn burner.
His name was Tyler Farrow, and he actually seems like a really nice guy. We had a really nice back and forth. But the example he gave was this would be like subscribing to HBO and then them telling you after you subscribe that, sorry, you can't watch Game of Thrones in your area. And my response to that would be, no, this is like if HBO explicitly said the package you're subscribing for does not include Game of Thrones, it only includes everything else, and you still subscribe to it and then got really pissed off because you can't watch Game of Thrones. Like, everyone should know how this works by now. This isn't new. This has been going on for like a decade. There are ways to get what you want. You have to pay money for it, just like everything in life. That's the end of my rant.
You got to democratize sports distribution. Fuck the suits.
The internet is here to serve. Everything's free.
As soon as Elon gets Neuralink going, we're just going to transmit it all right into our brains anyway.
I know 4 different people who are waiting in line for Starlink access.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
You know about this?
I do.
5G anywhere. Like, you can get it rural. You can get anywhere on their little marble once the service opens up to you.
We should have a conversation after this, Wanya, because I was having an interesting conversation about Starlink yesterday and just kind of how that's affecting internet providers here locally. Just kind of freaking out a little bit.
One of the most amazing things about Starlink is it can be adapted for use not on Earth, and they can use it to communicate with space shuttles that are flying to Mars. What up with that, your Chuck? You bet on that? 10 to 1?
Pretty safe bet. That's not happening anytime soon. When I saw that rocket that they just had go about 500 feet in the air and fall to the ground.
Hey, man, let's be real. If you were sitting there inventing the first boat, you're probably like, hey, you know what? Some of these motherfuckers are going to sink. But a lot of them won't, and we're going to get some places. And it's the same with spaceships.
Yo.
Can you ask me a question?
Yes, sir.
Why did Tesla stock go from 200 to 800 in a matter of 2 weeks?
People are buying into Elon's vibes, man. I follow an ETF called ARK ETF. They invest in a lot of tech and EV and that kind of thing. And they were so bullish on that, their CEO, Kathy Woods, that They were so bullish on Tesla about a year and a half ago that she said one share was going to go up to $4,000, and then they did the 5-for-1 stock split, and it brought it right down, and then it climbed back up again. The answer why? I don't know. I just think everybody's buying into what Elon's doing
It's
right
the
now.
darling of the retail investor. This is the rise of the retail investor, right? 2.5 million people bought GameStop for the price to go fucky because they're organized online. And I think that set of people that invested in Bitcoin and did crazy shit, those are the type of people who love Tesla.
And for a lot of those people, to Wanya's point, Elon is daddy to a lot of them. So I think,
in fact.
I think no matter what Elon Musk does, there's a sizable segment of the population that'll just follow him into anything.
I see.
But the answer, I have no idea.
Shit and building gigafactories and shit, right? That's way beyond car stuff.
Yeah, the cars are almost secondary to everything else that they've got going on.
Okay. Wanye, before we switch gears here, Super Bowl, are you going Mahomes or are you going Brady?
Here's what I know. If you think I'm going to bet against Giselle's husband, I would never. Does Mahomes even have a supermodel wife?
Girlfriend.
He has a fiance, yeah.
Has her work been in the cover of Vogue?
I doubt it.
Well, then who's going to win the game? You tell me, baby.
Fair enough.
Tom Brady. Now, are there going to be a lot of conflicted people in Massachusetts this weekend? Chalmers? I think a lot of those motherfuckers feel like the Gretzky trade, except it wasn't at the height of his career. I think they love to hate Tom Brady, but they're going to be cheering for him.
Oh, they'll be cheering for him.
I think they don't hate him at all, to be honest.
They don't hate him at all?
No,
I don't think. No, I think because it was you know, they saw the writing on the wall and it was his decision and it wasn't an organization. And I think, I don't know.
He can prove he can do it without him, right? He doesn't need all those guys.
Oh, yeah, it must piss them off though, like in the sense of like shit, like it's Belichick, but it was really like also Tom Brady that really brought all this success to us for a long time. But since it's happening so late into his career, they can have nothing but praise and thanks for the last 17 years of Patriots football. And so now as this guy is in the twilight of his career, you've got to be just supporting the man. So I think I bet you 99% of Pats fans are behind this.
I was thinking about this the other day on Twitter because somebody was bitching about Connor wanting to leave, right? And how can he be this amazing and yet the Oilers have terrible results and shit like that? Gretzky never won a cup after he left Edmonton, man. And he played another 10 fucking years, and they put maximum cash around his supporting cast, right?
In that same vein, I think I was a little scorned by Gretzky because it was a trade and you could tell his wife had to buy. But I don't think anybody was scorned by Messier, and he went on to win another cup.
Oh, I was mad he left, but I was so mad at everything at that point. That's what being 10 was.
Well, when he left, it was kind of like the writing was on the wall that the band was breaking up and the team was being...
And that's more of the Tom Brady situation than, you know.
But like, why couldn't Messier have stuck it out here? Money, eh? Probably, yeah. Fuck.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're going to bring in our friend Scott Hastings from OddsShark now because we got to get to some Super Bowl talk. Brought to you by... Yes, okay.
Bye.
See you one, yeah. All right, brought to you by OddsShark.com. Everything you need to make the sharper pick from our friends at OddsShark. And if you want to bet a little bit on the Super Bowl, they have a ton of articles up there from their experts to get you ready for that. Add Scott Hastings and wait for him
I got to say, it made me laugh, and I love to see it that Tom Brady and Gronk remade that video.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The Super Bowl.
Tom's social game is tight.
Yeah.
Did you hear about this fun thing about Gronk and that in the off season before they started, Coach Arians wanted him to send him videos of him running sprints, and so he just basically did all of his sprints in one day and just kept changing his shirt and then sent him that same video.
Yeah. But what confused me about that is like, bro, like everyone was like, oh, he cheated the system. And it's like, well, you still had to do the running. Scott Hastings is here now from OddsShark. Scott, that didn't make sense to me. I'm like, you just ran a bunch in one day instead of running a little bit every day.
Nobody ever said Gronk was the smartest individual in the NFL. So he tried to game the system, and yes, he ran a shit ton in one day. So good for him, I guess, getting in shape for one day.
Did you know another thing that actually blew my mind? Travis Kelce is older than Rob Gronkowski. Did you know
Really?
that? Yeah. Couple years.
That is surprising.
I almost don't believe
Gronk-
you. I'm Googling it.
Google it. I
Gronk just
true.
needed some time off. He needed to go on a giant bender and get it all out of him, and now he's back.
He had to go win a WWE
They're
title.
the same age, Chalmers.
Look at their birthdays. He's older.
May 14th, 1989 is when Rob Gronkowski was born. And October 5th, 1989 is when Travis Kelce was born.
Close.
Yeah, so he's 6 months older. I mean, I'm not wrong.
Younger, isn't he?
Younger.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I don't know why we're going down this rabbit hole. Scott, we're going to do a bit of a prop challenge between the group of us here, but we'll get to that in just a second. I also want your take on the game. I want to go through some player props, but you have an article up at oddshark.com that was the best Super Bowl exotic props. The obvious one, like the Gatorade color's always there. The one I love, who will the Super Bowl MVP mention first in his speech? Which prop stands out the most to you as just being incredibly outlandish?
Yeah, there's so many of them. Like Sarah Thomas, she's one of the referees that will be doing the game. Like, will she wear her hair down in a ponytail or up in a hat? Like, these are just absolute ridiculous props that are lots of fun. You know, will Andy Reid talk about cheeseburgers after the game, which I'm sure he will. That's a good lock. You know, there's just tons of fun ones. What color will be Patrick Mahomes' headband? Yeah. So I think those are the ones that are just lots of fun. If you're doing a Super Bowl party or something, and maybe some of your friends don't normally bet on sports, that's just a fun way. Throw $20 on a sports book, choose 10 props, throw $2 in each one, and just have a little bit of fun. Win or lose.
Yeah, no kidding. Some of these are a ton of fun. Like the ones where it's like, how many times will something be mentioned? That's the one where I find you're paying such close attention the entire game. He's like, oh, did they say Joe Biden again? Did I hear that wrong? In terms of some of the more serious props, though, like I think I'm going to load up on a bunch of Travis Kelce stuff. I think he could have a dominant game here. Tyreek Hill as well, considering how he burned that secondary earlier in the season. Are there some like player props that you think, you know, like statistically are good bets?
Yeah. So I was actually talking to a good buddy of mine today. Well, sorry, he messaged me out of the blue and was just like, Scotty Miller's over-under set at 12.5. Am I high? Possibly. It was 9 a.m, but Scotty Miller's the type of guy that he averages about 20 yards per catch so far in the playoffs. He's not a guy that gets a ton of targets or a ton of receptions, but if he gets one catch, there's a very good chance he goes over 12.5, or I've seen 15.5. Even so, it's very typical for him to get one catch that will go over that number. So that's a little bit of a risky one, but lots of fun because one catch and there's your over. For me, one of my favorite ones is going to be under 6.5 catches for Tyreek Hill, and that's coming in at plus 105. I just think that if the Bucs have any chance of winning, they have to key in on Tyreek Hill, and I honestly think that Kansas City is going to have to run the ball early and often to slow down that defensive front line of Tampa Bay, just so that Patrick Mahomes has more time to work. So I think the over rushing yards for Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a good play, but also the under for Tyreek Hill receptions. I don't want to bet against him for yards because he's the type of guy that he can just go one and there's 70 yards. You know, he's
take the screen pass and take 70.
Yeah, so he's a tough one, but I like the under. He actually only got 7 or more catches in 5 of 18 games this year. So I think the fact that you can get that for plus money at under 6.5 is too intriguing for me.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. What about just the standard spread and over under here? Are you leaning KC? Are you leaning over under? How are you looking at those two?
You know, my heart says that Kansas City wins this game in pretty good fashion, but betting against Tom Brady is just something I can't do it. So I will be taking the Bucs to win this game. I don't know if it's the right bet or the smart bet, but it's just it's Tom Brady.
I know you gotta respect it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just you look like an idiot if you bet against him, but it wouldn't surprise me if they lose by 10. It totally wouldn't. First, the total 56 points. I'm leaning towards the over. I think this is going to be a bit of a barn burner. And their first game of course, would have went over that total. I believe it was 30-27 was the final rate. So that would be over by 1 point. And Kansas City basically did nothing in that second half. Predominantly dominated that first half, as you mentioned, with Tyreek Hill. So I think we're going to see another back and forth affair, high scoring, and lots of fun.
So, question, Scott. I was listening to somebody talk, and they said that every time you have an offense, a potent offense versus a potent offense, that's what the teams are known for. That's when you go under. When it's a defense versus a defense, that's when you go over. I consider KC obviously to be a potent offense, but what do you consider Tampa Bay's strength to be, their offense or their defense?
Well, their defense is really showing up in the playoffs, which is sort of changing what I would think. Throughout the regular season, I would have said offense, but their defense is really, really clamped down. What they did to Aaron Rodgers there 2 weeks ago, I guess it is, when he had three straight interceptions, or, Tom Brady had three straight interceptions, and they held him to, I believe, just one touchdown after that. So their defense has really stepped up. But at the whole, if you look at that offense that the Bucs have, you have to consider them as an offensive juggernaut. So it is definitely a good theory. And I think that would play into a little bit of public perception that you have two offensive teams. You look at Buffalo, Kansas City. And so if you use that metric that two offensive teams is going to lean towards an under, well, I sort of felt that way in the AFC championship game, but of course that went well over. So, you can't just go by these rules. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Let's get into our little prop challenge here. So here's how I laid it out. I have four kind of serious picks for us. That's going to be picking against the spread, MVP, total passing yards combined between the two offenses, and who you think is going to be the first touchdown scorer. Then we also have four that are a little bit more fun. The coin toss, the Gatorade color. Will the anthem be over or under 2 minutes? Total number of halftime songs from the weekend, which I believe I saw on OddsShark, was 7.5 for the weekend.
So many songs.
That's a lot of songs.
Double take.
A lot of songs.
That's a hell of a montage, though.
Yeah, but if he's just going song to song to song, like...
Oh, just 14 minutes of blinding lights, and everyone is happy.
That's fair. All right, so let's start with the serious ones. Winner on the spread. Scott already said he's going with Tampa Bay. I'm going to hop in here. I'm going with Kansas City. Chalmers, you're at the top of my screen. What are you thinking?
I went back and forth with this. I'm just going to go. I'm going to go with Scott. I'm going Tampa.
Tampa. Bagged Milk, you've been a Kansas City supporter all year. What are you thinking?
Chiefs, baby.
Kansas City, I like it. Jay?
You better. Yeah, I just, I've got to support Scott here.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I just think the Chiefs are the weapon and they're going to win, but I just can't do it.
I'm cheering for the story. Tom Brady, MVP. They win the game. It's
in
just,
Tampa.
It's too in Tampa.
Like like from a come from behind drive, like the move. It's going to be a.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Do you think too much sense? That's
before you move on, Tyler, do you think that if Brady wins on Sunday, that he shuts it down? Like this is it?
He's got one more year in his contract.
How do you not step away from that ultimate Super Bowl in your city story, though?
Because he knows he can do it again.
He wants to play till 45. It's his goal, and he's going to do it. He's done everything he's ever wanted to do. I don't see why this one would be any different.
No. Jaromir Jagr of NFL.
Yeah. Chalmers, you mentioned Brady is going to be your MVP pick?
If I go with Tampa, yes. And so I just made that decision, so yes.
Scott, who do you think could win MVP here? Got to go with Brady. Is that the only way to go if you're going to bet on the Bucs, like Brady to be the MVP?
I think you're either going to go him or Leonard Fournette. Fournette's looked great in the last couple of weeks. And if they really let him keep going, and that's an area that Kansas City has struggled with. But yeah, you got to go with Terrible Tom here, and they're going to win the game. He's got to carry that team.
Jay, are you going to be the third Tom Brady MVP pick here, or are you going somewhere else?
Jason Pierre-Paul.
Yeah, that's a name I've heard.
Unless he throws like 4 TDs to the same guy, like how could it not be Tom?
Because he's Tom Brady. They'll give it to him over the guy.
That's what I'm saying. How can it not be Tom? Like it'd have to be like a guy who caught 4 TD passes or something and ran had like 150 yards or something.
In this game, I think if you pick a winner, you pick their quarterback as MVP, or you're wrong, because that's what they're going to do.
Yeah. I think you just got to. If I was picking KC, I would go against Mahomes, and I would say Kelsey. I would pick Kelsey just because that guy just absorbs everything. But I picked Tampa Bay.
Bagged Milk, me and you, we are the two Kansas City bettors here. I'm going Travis Kelce for my MVP. I think he could catch a couple of touchdowns, and I think if he goes off again for like 13 receptions, and if they're focused on shutting down Tyreek in the big play, Kelce could eat in the middle. If he gets like 13 receptions and a touchdown or two, I think they'd have a hard time not giving it to Kelce.
Yeah.
Bagged Milk, where are you going for MVP?
Student becomes the teacher on this one. Mahomes.
Patty Mahomes.
Yeah.
I saw
You're
this.
Remchuk. I think you're right. I think Kelsey's. If Kansas City wins,
Well, you took Brady.
I think you're right.
Honey Badger's also an interesting one, just in that Tom Brady threw 3 picks against Green Bay. If he throws a few picks in this game too, I think the Honey Badger Tyrann Mathieu is definitely an intriguing at 30-1. A little sprinkle,
good value.
A little sprinkle.
The book I use has Honey Badger at 70-1.
Even better. Even more of a sprinkle, I think.
Yeah, what's 5 clams on that?
Yeah.
All right. The next one I had total passing yards between the two quarterbacks. Anyone that throws a ball, technically. Right now, the over-unders for these player passing, Brady is set at 290.5. Mahomes is set at 329.5. So if you do 330 plus 290, you're looking at about, what is that? 620 yards. I did that math good. Aren't you guys proud of me? I always fuck up math.
I was waiting for it.
I'm surprised it wasn't in the thousands.
Yeah.
I had 8 something.
208,000 yards.
I'm going with a total of 680 yards between the two teams. Scott Hastings, what are you going with?
Yeah, I was looking at about 690, so we'll go with 690 over you by 10.
There you go. Bagged Milk, what are you thinking?
A lot of passes. I'm going to go the over.
No, you got to give me a number. And you got to just give me a number.
I thought you were just giving me
I'm at 680. Scott's at 690.
Then I'm going to go Price is Right, 700.
One passing yard.
Chalmers, what are you thinking for passing yards? I love how you do the research.
590.
590.
Whoa.
Okay.
Going under. Going under.
Smart play.
I'm coming in.
Two potent offenses. You take the under.
I'm sorry, Bag Milk, but this number was in my head right from when this question was asked. 703.
How dare you?
All right, 703 is Jay's. The last of the serious props. I want to know who everyone's got to score the first touchdown in this football game.
This one might go 5 for 5.
Who are you taking?
Kelsey.
You're taking Kelsey. Okay. Scott, where are you going to go with this?
Well, if I'm going with the Bucks, we got to choose a Buck. Yep. And why not go with the other tight end and Rob Gronkowski? I think they're going to force feed him if this is his last game, perhaps. Yeah. He's been slow in the playoffs so far. I think he's only got 1 or 2 catches. So why not burst onto the scene and slam that ball through the end zone?
Gronk loves the big stage.
Gronk, let's go.
I'm going to go a little bit off the board on this one, and I'm going to go first touchdown score. I believe he was the first touchdown scorer in last year's Super Bowl.
Hartman?
No, I'm going Patty Mahomes. I think he ran in the first one last year because I bet on him to score it. So Patty Mahomes is going to be my pick for the first touchdown scorer. Jay, who are you going with?
I'm going with my fantasy darling, Chris Godwin.
Okay. Yeah, maybe.
But I do believe, don't roll out, sprinkle it on this. Tom Brady QB sneak.
He always hedges. Has anybody noticed that? He always hedges.
No.
Give one answer.
Can't lose if you take both sides.
I'm just telling you, that's my answer.
God,
but I'm saying I'm also betting on Tom Brady.
Okay, sure.
Not a great hedge.
Bag Milk, first touchdown scorer?
Tyreek Hill.
I could see that. I was debating Hill. Scott, could you not see second, third play, deep pass, Tyreek Hill's wide open?
It almost, when you say that, it just makes me think of, oh my Lord, why am I forgetting his name? Denver Broncos playoff game, first pass overtime, hits Emmanuel Sanders on a slant route for 80-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
Why am I forgetting Florida? Tim Tebow. Holy cow.
Yeah,
That's how far he's gone. I'm thinking double A baseball here with the Mets. Yeah. Because they went to overtime and he had a slam pass Emmanuel Sanders for 80 yards. So I could totally see Tyreek Hill doing the exact same thing, open the game up, just gone.
Can you also see Casey pulling out some trick plays and doing like an like the fake handoff, and then on the other way comes Tyreek Hill and he runs it in from 40 out.
Yeah.
Andy Reid special. Andy Reid loves those type of plays.
I posted a picture on my Instagram, or a video on Instagram, which I don't do very often, of the 3-person pirouette on the KC Chiefs did one play. If they don't do that in the Super Bowl, I'm going to feel very ripped off.
They're doing that. Is that a prop? Is that a prop?
Yeah.
It should be. I would bet on it. I love when they do that.
No, but it's pull out all the stops.
All right, let's get to the fun stuff here now, all the sort of weird, wacky props you can bet on for the Super Bowl. This one, I'm just getting everyone's answer real quick. It's the coin toss. Jay, heads or tails?
So, in
my
life...
God. What do you know?
Well,
There's a couple constants in life. You know, you can never bet an under. You always have to bet an over, right? Remember Chalmers' sick bow? You don't bet small, you always bet big.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to heads and tails, it's heads. It's always fucking heads.
I was going to say heads, but just because you did that rant, I'm going tails. Scott, where are you going? Heads or tails?
Tails never fails, baby.
Yeah, there we go. Chalmers?
In the history of the Super Bowls, heads has come up 25 times at a 40% or 47% clip. Tails is 29 times at 53% clip.
Heads
tails
is
never
due.
fails.
That means heads is due.
It's just due.
Well,
It's
a math question.
Yeah.
You played enough roulette to know that that's not true.
Each flip is independent. Bag milk, heads or tails?
I don't care. Heads.
Oh, boy. Can you pick the Chief?
Yes.
I flipped a coin 150 times this morning, and it came up.
All right. Okay, we're gonna get to the this one. I actually think there's a way to maybe do a little bit of research on it, and it is the color of the Gatorade that will be dumped onto the winning head coach. So I think red is at the top right now at plus 150. Then it goes orange. Then it goes lime green yellow at plus 350, which I think it was last year. It was yellow last year, I believe. And then after that, you got clear, you have blue, or you have purple. Chalmers is itching to say something. So what are you going to say, Chalmers?
Since 2001, orange has come up 5 times. Clear has been 4. None has been 4. Yellow, 3. Blue, 2. Purple, 2. I'm going with the favorite, orange.
Orange for Chalmers. I'm going to hop in here. Since I'm betting on Kansas City, I think they'll go right back to the same color. I'm going yellow for the color of the Gatorade. Scott Hastings, what do you got?
Well, blue's my favorite, but I'm going to go with orange. I just, it just tastes better than red. I don't know.
Yeah.
Bagged milk?
I got to go with the best flavor is blue, and anything other than blue is just, you're upsetting me.
Oh, purple's delicious.
Blue is a young man's game. Blue is a young man's game, and there's a lot of young men on KC. So if they win, it's going to be blue.
Blue is elite.
Except for Kelsey, who is older than Gronk.
Yeah.
By 6 months.
Jay?
I'm going just because, like, it's got to be yellow. Yellow is, like, if you look at Gatorade in terms of color, you're like, yeah, that yellow one's going to quench my thirst. Like, that's the most thirst-quenching color, period. It's going to be yellow, and Tom Brady loves to win, therefore wants the peak performance color of Gatorade, yellow.
I have no clue who's doing the anthem, but I'm going to go...
Sullivan.
Okay.
Who?
Jasmine Sullivan.
I don't know who
I
that is.
need to listen to her sing.
And Eric
Church. Yeah.
I'm going to say under 2 minutes. Chalmers, what are you saying?
It's a tandem, so they have to go back and forth?
I don't know. That's a good question. But ever since 2001, it's been creaking up in time. 2 minutes. I'm going under.
Scott Hastings?
I'm going to go with the over, and hopefully we get a Gladys Knight double free like they had last year. Do you remember that one?
Yep.
So, and that actually landed on the first free was the under, the second free was the over. So, I don't know. Let's go over.
Bag milk?
I'm going to go over. Why not? Let's
Over.
drag it out.
Yeah.
Jay?
Well, I opened up with my statement about how I can't bet under, so I'd be off brand if I didn't go over. So it's obviously over.
The last one is centered around the halftime show, which I'm excited for. I like The Weeknd. But total number of songs he will play. I saw OddsShark had this in one of their articles. I think the line is set at 7.5 songs. Not full songs. Like if he does, whatever it is, 30 seconds of one, then goes to the next one. That counts as a song. It's set at 7.5. Jay, I've been coming to you last on a lot of these. I'll come to you first here. Over, under 7.5 songs for The Weeknd.
Well, so I have to attack the line because I think the line's wrong because it's forcing me to bet under.
Okay.
Which is not my style.
I'm going to take over. I think he's got enough chart toppers that he can mix in 8 songs into this performance. Scott Hastings, over under 7.5 for The Weeknd.
We keep the overs going. Also, like if, an Ariana Grande shows up or, you always have some other person show up for a song. I think that counts towards an over-under. No?
Yep.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right, Bag Milk.
I'm looking at a list of The Weeknd's singles that have been on the charts. This is going over. Easy over.
He wants to get the catalog in. Chalmers, what are you taking? Over, under?
Here is why I will go against everything you guys have said. He's spending $7 million on his own production to make this a theatrical performance. If you've watched his last 6 music videos, they are a running story. He is a storyteller. There's going to be a lot of interludes. There's going to be a lot of production. He is not going to get to 6, 7 songs. He might not even get to 6. I'm going way under.
They still do music videos?
Oh, buddy.
They're coming back, buddy.
Didn't you see where he came out with the bandages on his face from the music video before, and then he unveiled the bandages, and he had all his plastic surgery where his lips were huge and his face had been pulled up, and it was just part of the character arc from his last 5 music videos.
He's fucking with people. He's trolling.
Oh, I hope it's under
people, and he is a performer, and this will be a performance with a lot of musical interludes.
What's on the menu for the game, Scott? What are you eating? I'm going barbecue. I'm going to get a good pulled pork sandwich, I think, and some greasy food brought over. But what are you going to do?
Good man. I believe that we are doing pizza at the studio, amongst other beverages and whatnot, and I'm sure there'll be chips and whatnot. Nothing too special. Usually if I'm at home, it's going to be like a nachos type situation, but we're going to be at the studio, so it sounds like za.
Love it. All right, have a good one, man. Enjoy the game.
Enjoy, fellas. Take care.
All right, there you go.
Scott.
That is Scott Hastings from OddsShark, oddshark.com. Everything you need for Super Bowl 55, whether it's props, how to bet, where to place a bet, the matchup, their picks, all of it is available at oddshark.com. I'm stoked for the game now.
Can I just say how stoked I am to make air fryer wings for the game on Sunday?
Ooh, fucking rights, man.
Ooh.
I am living large.
Yep.
I'm also making wings on the old Traeger. I cannot wait.
Enjoy the game, guys. That should be fun. Shout out to all the listeners as well. Send us your Super Bowl 55 setup, what you're eating. Always love to get that stuff going. DM us. Why not? All right. Enjoy the game, everybody. Should be a good weekend. Enjoy the battle. Actually, let me do this. Let me go around the horn really quickly here. The Battle of Alberta this Saturday. Will it be as heated as maybe we want it to, or do you think it could be more tame than it was last year just because it's been a while and they got to play a lot this year? Bag Milk?
Calgary's going to come with intensity because the whole team meeting they had to have around not playing for each other or especially sticking up for Tkachuk. I think they're kind of gelling a little bit and they're going to be a little aggressive. So I'm just hoping we can respond in kind.
Okay, Bag Milk, what are you thinking?
I am actually, this may not be a popular opinion, but I'm actually hoping it's going to be a calmer Battle of Alberta on Saturday because where the Oilers get themselves into trouble against the Flames is with discipline. And right now, their penalty kill is not nearly good enough to be tacking on penalties that are just because they're pissed off. So I'm hoping it's a little bit mellow. The points are too important right now. Mellow game, go with it.
Chalmers, heated or no?
I think it's going to be mellower, but I think the heat is going to get turned up in the third. I think that they're going to go into it knowing we got to play these guys 10 times. Let's just try to not make it all explode in game one so the rest of the season is an absolute mess. But I think by the third, emotions take over. Guys stop thinking that way, and it starts to get heated.
Yeah, I think the Oilers will get up 4-1 or something, and then in the third period, a certain someone on that Calgary side will start to run around and get a little bit pissed off, and that's when things will start to escalate. But enjoy the Battle of Alberta, guys. Enjoy it with a nation beer as well. Why not? And enjoy the Super Bowl on top of that. Shout out to Oodle Noodle and our friends at Twig and Berries. Promo code NATION15 gets you 15% off at twigandberries.ca. This has been episode 253 of the Real Life Podcast. For Wanye, Chalmers, Bag Milk, and Jay, enjoy your weekend.
Great job on making it through the entire hour of the Real Life Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast from.